Hey Ryan, this is an analysis of the Snatch you sent me a couple days ago. I believe it's 125. I can't remember what percentage you said. But anyways, we're going to check it out. Sorry, I got lines drawn on it already, but they're nice lines, so I want to keep them and not have to redraw them in the middle because I have a hard time putting them in the right place. So we're going to watch it full speed with lines already drawn on it. You just try to ignore them, I guess, for this full speed look real quick. Alright, so you've made a ton of progress on your snatch and cleaning jerk already. Let's watch it one more time, full speed. Cool. Something I noticed immediately was your footwork is super fast here, so that's good. The barbell's also super close to your body. So those are really good points. Things that you're doing extremely well already. Alright, let's give it a look. Alright, so this is you right before you're about to initiate movement from the floor. So I can tell from your knees that I think the weight displacement or distribution in your foot is probably pretty dang good, because I assume your knee is lingering over your foot based on the angle it looks like. So that looks good. Your setup is pretty dang good here. I'm glad your eyes are up. I can see you're taking a big breath, like bracing your midline. It's clear that you stay braced because your back doesn't sag or like get soft in the middle of this lift. As usual, your hips are pretty dang low. That seems to be the way you lift comfortably, which is fine. Again, it works really well for you. I'm not sure. I never got to talk to you. I keep forgetting to ask you if you've experimented with trying your hips a tiny bit higher. Like right now, you're like pretty much at parallel. If you tried something like maybe that, I'm just curious what that would do to the rest of your lift. Dang it, I lost that line that I wanted. Again, just to experiment and see if that would be beneficial to the way that you lift. We'll see. Otherwise, the rest of your setup is pretty dang good here. Let's see your hang position. So we have that vertical line. You're doing super well here already. Check out the hang position. Okay, so this is a pretty awesome hang position. I like that your shoulders are still in front of the bar and your back angle has not really changed. It's very minimal change, so that's good. You're getting into that hang with your shoulders in front of the bar. This is awesome. Your hamstrings are, there's no way they can't be engaged because of your shin. That's not on your shin, obviously, but they're pretty much vertical, so that's got to be creating a lot of tension in your hamstrings, your posterior chain, so you can get that involved. So that is super good. The one thing that now we can start talking about is your feet in the hang position. So if you were going to practice a hang position, or really anytime you're in a hang position, if you're practicing with PVC or not, you would try to have your entire foot on the ground. So the weight would be balanced on the front of your heel, so in the back of your foot, like you are here. But you'd never really want your foot off the ground. The more of you that's in contact with the ground, the more power you can put into the bar. So you're kind of leaving a tiny bit on the table here. And you could be. The big thing is just balance, like having to shift, like not necessarily losing balance, but the potential to lose balance here while loaded. I think if you're gripping gripping the floor with your toes, I really think that would lend well to you lifting more. But anyways, so otherwise the rest of your hang position is very good here. I really like what's going on. The barbell's extremely close to you, as we can see from right there. It's you've really pulled it in, which is good. You're much stronger than the weight of this barbell, clearly, by the way you're like manipulating it in space, just putting it where you want it. So that's good. But yeah, I would definitely try and get those toes glued to the ground in the hang position. Although again, you do want the weight on the front of your heel, so in the back of your foot. So that's the first thing to think about here. So you immediately get your toes down, which is good. It just happens for a moment. But I have seen that in your previous lifts. I was waiting to work some other stuff out before we started talking about that. All right, so this is pretty dang good high hang position. So you can see by looking at your feet, they're almost completely on the ground still, so that's pretty good. Getting ready to jump vertically. Not a bad high hang position. This is pretty good. If your heel is totally on the ground still, that'd be really awesome, but there's not much to complain about here. This really is a pretty dang good lift. Let's see. Going vertical. The coolest thing about this lift is the fact that the barbell hasn't crossed that vertical line yet. So you're doing an extremely good job of keeping it very close to you and pulling it in, especially right here. So we got rid of that, or not we, you got rid of that kind of like hip bump you were doing before, throwing your hips too much into the barbell. Check out these feet though. This is the coolest part of the lift for me. Slam those heels into the floor. So that's awesome. I'm pretty sure we talked about that in one of your videos. If not, that's super important to lifting very well. When people land on their toes, they always miss forward. It can kind of goof up a lift. So your footwork here from your jumping to your receiving position is real good. Locking out those arms super early, I know that was an issue previously, is like your lockout, feeling shaky in the lockout. It looks good here. Just really got to think about like punching up into that bar. You're doing very well here. But if you needed another cue to think about for that, think about punching into the barbell, pressing, you know, any of those. I'm sure you've heard them all anyways. So yeah, there's not too much on this lift to complain about. We talked about a lot of stuff before. Looks like your back flexibility has improved a bit, as we can see here. Sitting more upright in the bottom of your snatch. You're catching this really high. I think I'd call this lift power. Just about. I would call this lift power, so you have a lot more space if you can eventually get, to catching your snatch down here. That's another 6-8 inches or so of space that the barbell doesn't have to travel, so you have you could potentially lift a lot more. Really though, you made a lot of progress. This is super good. Keep the questions coming, but this is a good lift.